1950 installerades en ny ärkebiskop som den grekisk-ortodoxa kyrkans överhuvud på Cypern. Han antog namnet Makarios den tredje. I likhet med den medeltida kyrkans stora ledare var han mer politiker än gudsman. Britterna insåg sent vad för slags person de hade att göra med. Under Makarios ledning var varje präst en nationalistisk politiker, varje gudstjänst ett potentiellt upprorsmöte. Vad grekcyprioterna åstundade var inte oberoende, utan en union med Grekland, som de kallade enosis. Britterna gjorde till ett brott att förespråka enosis, men kyrkan fann vägar att kringgå förbudet.
Και είπα, αφού μαζεύτηκαν όλοι οι κοινότητες, απόψε κύριοι ήρθαμε στο χωριό σας για να κηρύξουμε την Επανάσταση. Ζήτω η Επανάσταση. Το επανέλαβα 2-3 φορές. Όλος ο λαός εχειροκροτούσε, εφώναζε. Η αστυνομία προχώρησε να εκτελέσει αυτό που με είχε στην αρχή απειλήσει, να με συλλάβει. Όταν επλησίασε, εγώ προσέθεσα. Ήρθαμε να κηρύξουμε την Επανάσταση ενάντια στην αμαρτία. Τότε πάγωσαν, σταμάτησαν και επεχώρησαν. Και εγώ μίλησα ενάντια στην αμαρτία. Βέβαια, στο τέλος ομιλίας μίλησα και εθνικά. Η αστυνομία όχι μόνο δεν προσήλθε να με συλλάβει, αλλά πρώτη εχειροκροτούσε.
Makarios gav sig av för att söka stöd i Grekland. Han möttes av entusiastiskt gensvar. Men just som också det grekiska folket började ropa efter enosis kom deras sak att hotas av utvecklingen på andra håll kring Medelhavet. –1952 grep en grupp arméofficerare ledda av överste Nasser makten i Egypten. De ville göra slut på den brittiska militära närvaron i zonen kring Suezkanalen. Britterna bestämde sig för att flytta sitt Mellanösternhögkvarter till Cypern. Här riskerade de inte, som i Egypten, att köras på porten av en fientlig regim. Konflikten mellan cyprioternas krav på union med Grekland och Storbritanniens nyväckta behov av Cypern drev Henry Hopkinson, biträdande minister i kolonialdepartementet, att begå ett misstag som gjorde slut på hans departementskarriär och som riktade världens blickar mot Cypern. I juli 1954 började Labour-oppositionen fråga varför cyprioterna, det mest välutbildade av alla kolonialfolk, hade så lite att säga till om över sig själva. De konservativa oroade sig för att Storbritannien skulle tvingas lämna Suez, och ett regeringsuttalande om Cypern var en känslig sak.
I made my statement in the House, and it went all right. Jim Griffiths, who had been Colonial Secretary of the Labour Party, got up and asked whether he could take it, that it was the intention that Cyprus should eventually attain what he called dominion status, with the right to determine their own future. And of course this put me in a great difficulty, because that was the one thing that I'd been told definitely by the Secretary of State when he returned from Cabinet that morning that I must not do. So I had to tread very carefully. I said there are certain territories which owing to their particular circumstances can never expect to be fully independent.
Ordet aldrig gav eko världen runt. Det var precis vad Makarios hade väntat på. Den våldsamma reaktionen drev Greklands premiärminister att dra frågan inför FN.
He decided to go to the UN. And I don't blame him. He couldn't politically avoid it. Well, he couldn't avoid it because when a whole people believes that something is easy, especially when it believes that something is right, that a Greek island should be given to Greece. A government cannot resist forever. It can resist for some years. He can't say to the people, I'm right and you are all wrong, especially when they are right.
I FN krävde den grekiska regeringen rätt till självbestämmande för cyprioterna, möjlighet för dem att bestämma sin egen framtid, i fast förtröstan om att de skulle välja Enosis. Storbritannien lyckades mobilisera tillräckligt stöd för att rösta ner det grekiska resolutionsförslaget. Makarios besvikelse och ilska delades av grekcyprioterna i Nicosia.
I was quite young. I saw the demonstration. I decided to follow the demonstrators. I started to throw stones to the police. I saw this demonstration as a starting for the freedom.
En månad tidigare hade en cypriot i all hemlighet landstigit i ett ensligt hörn av ön. Han hade kommit hem för att göra Enosis-rörelsen till en upprorsrörelse.
It had been said that the Cypriots did not really want their freedom, and that if they did want their freedom, they would seek it through actions of violence.
Överste Georgios Skrivas var en cypriot som hade stridit i grekiska armén och lett en högerextrem gerillagrupp i Grekland. Han var besatt av tanken på Enosis.
An armed fight was the only way leading to the self-determination of my native country, Cyprus.
Han tog sig namnet Dionys efter en hjälte ur den grekiska folkdiktningen. Sin riktiga identitet avslöjade han inte. På Cypern rådde åter yttre lugn, men Grivas var i färd att bygga upp en hemlig armé, EOKA, nationella organisationen för Cyperns kamp. Han importerade vapen, värvade handplockade medlemmar och såg ut sina mål.
I was asleep in the hotel opposite the police station, and the Greek officer in charge of the police station rang me up saying, Mr. Denktash, all over Cyprus explosions are happening. Will you come to the police station? Well, I said, you must be a very nasty man to wake me up at this hour and to play on me the 1st of April Fool Days, you know, making jokes with me. He said, it's no joke, come down immediately, Mr. Denktash, for heaven's sake. And I went down, and there it was on the wireless from all over Cyprus. Bombs here, bombs there, and they had started.
If our rulers refuse to give us back our freedom, we shall claim it, with our own hands and with our own blood. Aoka, the leader, Digenis.
What you need to be a member of this organization was that you must be, at that time, a right-wing, belongs to the right-wing party. I mean, right-wings were all except the leftist, the communist. I mean, they check your character. I mean, let's say if you are going around in bars, drinking or having affairs with people that they didn't, I mean, have a good name, they wouldn't choose you to be a member of the organization. You must have a good character.
Ήταν παιδιά που εξομολογούνται τακτικά, εκκοινωνούσαν τακτικά. Και το Μυρμήγκη να το σκοτώσουν δεν το ήθελα. Όταν όμως εκλήθησαν στον αγώνα, φυσικά έκαναν το καθήκον τους και έγραψαν την ωραιότερη σελίδα της ιστορίας της Κύπρου. Έχω ορκίσει πάρα πολλούς νέους.
I swear in the name of the Holy Trinity that I shall work with all my power for the liberation of Cyprus from the British yoke, sacrificing for this even my life.
they ordered me to execute a Greek Cypriot in a main road, very busy road. And believe me, I pieced drop by drop in my underwear, because it was the first time I got a pistol. Very soon he arrived. I aimed, I fired twice. For a long time I saw this person in my dreams, even when I didn't sleep, I saw his face in front of me. But it was the first experience anyway. But later you get used. I can say that after a lot of training and after some more killings, you get used to killing.
Britterna hoppades att ärkebiskop Makarios skulle fördöma Eokas våldsmetoder. De försökte tvinga honom till ett klart ställningstagande.
I am opposed to the use of violence, but at the same time I am opposed to the British policy which has provoked violence. However, I don't think wise to condemn violence in public, because I understand that a Greek section of the people is in favor of this method.
Det förbryllade britterna att en gudsman som Makarios inte ville fördöma våldet. De visste inte att han var Eokas grundare och högste ledare.
Yes, Makarios on his way to the United Nations, while we have had this meeting with Grivas in Athens, gave him the green light to come to Cyprus and gave him money to pay the transportation. But he told him that you go there, you continue organizing things, but you will not start unless you receive an order from me. He did not want the revolution with battles and guns and machine guns and submachine guns. He was thinking of an explosion here, a demonstration there, some shooting to help or escape. And, well, this is the ideas he was having by that time. Of course, the other man Grivas was having completely different ideas.
To the police, do not try to block our path or you will stain it with your blood. Anyone who tries to arrest or search Cypriot patriots will be shot. Eoka, the leader, Digenis.
On the 1st of April, everyone looked upon this movement as the movement of misguided few under the guidance of the church, and even Greek police. There were very good CID men in the police force, excellent people, who looked upon it as just a criminal activity by misguided youth. And they were very effective in catching these people. But the terrorism towards informers, towards the police who followed them, was such that within 6 months, I know the people who were saying this is the criminal activity of a misguided few were saying we are Eoka too.
Sommaren 1955 riktade Eokas offensiv världens uppmärksamhet på de grekcypriotiska kraven. I det läget vände sig Storbritannien till ett annat land som hade skäl att frukta att Grekland skulle ta över ön.
There has never been a time when British sovereignty over Cyprus was more vital than in the present day. The fears and anxieties of Turkey are constantly forgotten. Turkey that ruled Cyprus for 300 years. Turkey that is only 40 miles away from the shores of Cyprus.
Turkiet oroade sig inte bara för att få grekiska trupper helt nära sin kust, utan också för hur det skulle gå för den turkcypriotiska minoriteten, nästan 20% av öns befolkning. De var bestörta över att se Storbritannien tappa greppet över Cypern. Iåkas bomber detonerade över hela ön. Polisen läckte uppgifter om regeringens antiterroristplaner. Tullen hjälpte Iåka att smuggla in vapen på ön. För att befästa sin makt utnämnde britterna sin främste militär, generalstabschefen och fältmarskalken John Harding, till Cyperns guvernör.
John, the Greek foreign minister said this morning that your appointment meant that Britain was going to war with Cyprus. Would you say that that was an exaggeration?
Oh, I'm very sorry that he's taken up that attitude, because as far as I'm concerned, there's no question of war at all. In fact, I believe that the sooner people settle down peacefully and quietly together, the sooner we can get a proper answer to this business.
My impression is that the new governor, Field Marshal Sir John Harding, is an intelligent and straightforward man. This is the reason I believe that he will suggest to his government to recognize the right of Cyprus people to self-determination for Britain's prestige and the pacification on this area.
Makarios tog intryck av guvernörens försonliga hållning och lade fram ett förslag för Harding. Han skulle omedelbart släppa sitt krav på enosis och fördöma användningen av våld om britterna i gengäld lovade ön självständighet. Harding for till London för att rådgöra med kabinettet. Han kom tillbaka till Cypern med en ny, omsorgsfullt formulerad policy.
The governor came from London and we met in our house in Nicosia the 21st of November 1955. I remember that day Marshal Harding came first 10 minutes earlier, maybe for security reasons. And Makarios came a few minutes later. And immediately Marshal Harding took over from his pocket a paper. He gave it to Makarios and he said, "Your Beatitude, I have very good news for you."
Lappen innehöll den nya brittiska bekännelseformen. Vår inställning är inte att självbestämmandeprincipen aldrig kan tillämpas på Cypern. Vår inställning är att det inte för närvarande är ett ändamålsenligt förslag på grund av den rådande situationen i östra Medelhavet. Detta blev känt som den dubbla negationen. Enkelt uttryckt betyder det inte aldrig enosis, utan inte för närvarande.
The Archbishop said, Your Excellency, I cannot accept this. And Harding he was very disappointed. He left immediately, without waiting even to have the sweets and the coffee we usually offered in Cyprus in such occasions, you know. And I read the paper and I was really surprised because it was the first time the British government recognized the right of self-determination to the people of Cyprus. When Marshal Harding left, the Archbishop told me, well, that we have in our pocket. And we must try now to make it better.
Veckorna gick. Storbritannien kom inte med något bättre erbjudande. Harding förberedde för krig. Iåka trappade upp sitt våld. Efter 8 veckor försökte de båda sidorna sig på ännu en förhandlingsomgång.
Though latest reports give hope of a settlement in Cyprus, tension in that troubled island is as high as ever. Field Marshal Sir John Harding, Governor of Cyprus, newly returned from London, has his 7th and most crucial meeting with Archbishop Makarios, leader of the island's demand for union with Greece.
He made what seemed to me an eloquent, even moving personal appeal to the Archbishop to give his people a lead away from violence. Even the Archbishop seemed to me to be impressed, but after a short pause he said, you must understand Sir John, that I cannot lead my people where they will not go. And the Field Marshal, in exasperation, turned to me and said under his breath, "Funny sort of leadership to my way of thinking."
Istället för det raka svar Harding hoppades på bad Makarios om respit för att överlägga med sin synod. En uppgörelse tycktes vara i sikte, men Makarios hade ännu en rådgivare att tala med, överste Grivas. Det var Makarios som hade kallat honom till Cypern, men nu var Eokas män folkhjältar och Eokas vapen, inköpta för kyrkans pengar, var i Grivas händer. Skulle Makarios kunna övertala honom att lägga ner dem? De båda möttes i Kykosklostret med Grivas män på vakt utanför.
Grivas told Makarios that I don't trust the British, and his opinion was that if we are given amnesty, if we are given the police security, then we could sign an agreement.
Makarios skrev till Harding och gick med på att fördöma våldet, bara de här små detaljerna kunde regleras först.
As far as I was concerned, it was no good continuing the negotiations. We come to a dead end. And so I recommended to the colonial secretary that he should come out.
Makarios hyste stora förhoppningar om nya eftergifter från kolonialminister Alan Lennox Boyd. Men denne ansåg att villkoren som Harding redan hade erbjudit räckte för att göra gott intryck på världen och underhuset.
Lennox Boyd read a statement immediately saying that this I'm going to tell in the House. Still, 3 points were pending. The amnesty, the public security, and the majority in the House. So the Archbishop wanted to clarify those 3 questions. And Lennox Boyd said immediately, no, accept it or not. I didn't come here to negotiate. You have already negotiated to the governor. The Archbishop insisted and said, well, let's talk about this subject. Why not?
I think the truth is that ministers in London and perhaps the governor in Cyprus also had been becoming increasingly exasperated at what they saw as the prevarication of the Archbishop as the talks wore on, and increasingly disillusioned about the possibility of ever reaching a viable political settlement with him.
Lennox Boyd was adamant. He said, no, receive it or not. And the Archbishop said, well, under these conditions, I'm not going to accept it. And then Lennox Boyd stood up. He was 2 meters tall, you know. He closed his file and he said, addressing to the Archbishop, he said, Archbishop, God save your people. And he left.
Makarios hade hållit ut för länge. De enda villkor cyprioterna någonsin erbjudits som hade kunnat leda till enosis drogs tillbaka.
So I said to Lennox Boyd, I told Lennox Boyd that in my opinion the only thing to be done then was for me to concentrate on inflicting a defeat on Ioka. If that was done, if that was to be the program, well then I must get Makarios out of the way.
Makarios begav sig till flygplatsen för att flyga till Aten och diskutera sitt nästa drag. Men britterna hade ett annat resmål i utsikt åt honom. De förde honom till Seychellerna i Indiska oceanen. Där skulle han hållas i exil på obestämd tid. Deportationen av ärkebiskop Makarios drev Eoka att genomföra sin djärvaste attack dittills. I mars 1956 smugglade en ung servitör i guvernörspalatset in en tidsinställd bomb förbi guvernörens säkerhetsvakter. Genom att fästa den kring magen med en damkorsett undgick han upptäckt.
I get immediately to the bedroom of the governor. I closed the door and immediately I took the bomb out of my corset and I put it in the mattress under the bed. You see, they were sleeping on separate beds. They were nearby the beds, but They were separate, 2 beds, you know. And closed the beds just to kill both of them. Not to have her to cry after him, you know.
I always get up very late, I'm sorry to say, in the morning, and I had only just got up and nobody had done the room or made the bed or anything. And one of the soldiers came in, opened the doors between the bedrooms and said, "There's a bomb in His Excellency's bed." So I went and looked, and there was this thing. I'd never seen a bomb before, but there was this bomb there, and I very nearly touched it flicked it with my fingers, and I said, well, it must be a dud, because it was there all night. A young officer who was very brave put the bomb on a shovel. He'd walked right through Government House, which was quite big, and he'd put it in a sandbag pit, and it was striking 12, and it went off 3 minutes after he'd put it in with the most sickening explosion that broke all the windows outside of the house.
Neofitos Sofokleos blev en efterlyst man som förenade sig med grillan i bergen under Eokas ledare, överste Grivas.
The anti-terrorist campaign in Cyprus reaches a new stage with the combing of 400 square miles of mountain forests in the southwest of the island. And somewhere in the thick forest in front of them are Aoka leaders with a big price on their head, including, it is believed, the chief of them all, George Griffiths.
En brittisk patrull snubblade över Grivas medan denne tvättade sig i en bergbäck. Men Grivas lyckades fly och gick under jorden. Under de följande 2,5 åren ledde han sin kamp från det här huset i Limassols utkanter. Under diskhon i köket fanns ingången till ett skickligt kamouflerat gömställe. Inte ens hans egen områdesbefälhavare visste var han fanns, men härifrån sände Grivas ut order till sina avrättningspatruller i städerna.
Metaxa Square, Nicosia, and a surprise swoop by men of the 3rd Parachute Battalion searching for concealed weapons. The day before, in a nearby street, 2 Royal Air Force men were brutally murdered and 1 seriously wounded by terrorists. The men, wearing civilian clothes, were shot from behind in cold blood.
If they give me the guns, if they give us the guns, the armored cars, and everything that they got, we can fight face to face. I mean, we feel brave as they are, I mean, at that time. But they got everything on their side, and they wanted us, I mean, to come and fight with them face by face. How we can fight face by face?
A search was started immediately while the scent was still fresh, but no trace was found. The town is now out of bounds to servicemen off duty.
Hardings första uppgift var att skaffa fram upplysningar så att man kunde komma i Eoka på spåren. Mördarna smälte in bland befolkningen och allmänheten var väl medveten om hur Eoka behandlade angivare.
He revealed to the enemy the hideout I was living, and I decided and I executed him.
What did you say to him?
Nothing.
What happened?
I didn't go by myself personally. I sent some boys to kill him. He was shot in the head, dead. No explanation, no messing, no... If you're a traitor, you have to die. That's all. It was clear to all of us.
Harding tog itu med att förstärka polisen som vid det här laget var grundligt infiltrerad av Eoka. Hans åtgärd blev att upprätta en polisiär hjälpstyrka rekryterad bland den turkcypriotiska minoriteten som ju utgjorde 20% av öns befolkning.
We were against Eoka. Britain was against Eoka. Therefore, we had a joint interest in seeing that Eoka did not succeed.
I och med att turkcyprioter rekryterades till de brittiska polisstyrkorna blev de också måltavlor för Eokas krypskyttar. Somliga sa att det var överlagd brittisk politik att ställa greker mot turkar, att söndra och härska.
We couldn't bring a whole horde of policemen from elsewhere in to do duties of that kind, and so really we had no choice in the matter.
Harding införde hårda undantagslagar. Hela byar bestraffades med kollektiva böter och utegångsförbud. Militär och polis gjorde razzior och tusentals misstänkta internerades utan rättegång. Men de misstänkta måste fås att tala.
They took me to a special branch. They took off all my clothes. They tied me at the back, my hands in back, my foot, and they beat me for a lot. Then they asked, somebody came, a Cypriot came, who started beating me. He was always either drunk or taking drugs. He was really mad with me. He was crying one time. He was laughing the other time. I mean, he was a man unbalanced. He was taking a stick to put in my bottom. He was taking some clothes, put it in the water, and then put it in my face so that not to breathe. He threw me down and he started dancing on my stomach with. He was wearing boots.
Nikos Koshis beskrev hur han torterades i 12 dagar innan förhörsledarna övergav sina ansträngningar att få honom att tala. Många cyprioter kom med liknande anklagelser om tortyr och radion i Aten gav publicitet åt varje ny beskyllning. I Storbritannien krävde Labour att anklagelserna om brutalitet skulle utredas, men regeringen gav Harding sitt stöd.
I had sufficient confidence in my senior police officers and army commanders to accept their view that this didn't happen.
Harding trodde sig ha ett mer verkningsfullt medel att få cyprioterna att tala. I november 1956 införde han dödsstraff för den som ertappades med att bära vapen. Nu kunde förhörsledarna köpslå med de gripna om upplysningar eller livet. Hardings metoder började ge resultat. Maskerade angivare ledde brittiska soldater till Eokas gömställen. Medan Eoka-ledarna greps en efter en förklarade Grivas andra man, Gregoris Avksentio, att han aldrig tänkte ge upp. En kamp in i döden skulle återupprätta det folkliga stödet för Eoka. I mars 1957 upptäckte brittiska trupper Avksentios gömställe i en grotta högt uppe i Trådåsbergen. Så säkra var britterna på sin sak att de inbjöd ett nyhetsteam att filma det viktiga tillfångatagandet. I 6 timmar stred Avksentio och hans adjutant Matrosos mot de brittiska soldaterna. Till sist tappade britterna tålamodet. De hällde in bensin i grottan och tände på.
I was in front of the exit and the flame took me from the face. Instantly I covered my face, my eyes, and my hands also bad. I feel bad. I turn again to the Avksentio. I saw him in flames, and he shouted me, "Don't be afraid." It was the last word I heard from Avksentio. I jumped off the cave with the hope that a bullet somebody will shoot me. I didn't want to live, and I didn't want to die by flames.
Matrosos påträffades i chocktillstånd vid kullens fot.
They removed some stones from the roof and I saw Avksentio was buried.
Rörelsen hade funnit sin martyr. Även om Eoka-gerillan i bergen hade slagits ner så hade grekcyprioterna klart visat sin vilja att fortsätta kampen.
I don't believe myself that you can destroy an organization of that kind, which is led by fanatics and has a great deal of support from the civil population, either from sympathy or from fear. I don't think you can destroy it, but we had inflicted a very serious defeat on them.
Nu hade Harding styrkor ön under kontroll, men inga nya ledare hade trätt fram för att ersätta Makarios och föra den grekcypriotiska befolkningens talan. Politiskt rådde ett dödläge. I början av 1957 vacklade Storbritannien efter ett slag som förändrade hållningen till Cypern och hela imperiet. Så Anthony Edens försök att återerövra Suezkanalen hade ändat i katastrof och han själv hade avgått. Hans efterträdare, Harold Macmillan, till yttre en Imperiets man men i handling realpolitiker, ansåg att britterna inte längre behövde hela Cypern. Det kunde räcka med en mindre bas. Men om britterna ville förhandla skulle de nödgas att tala med ärkebiskopen. Han frigavs ur interneringen men förbjöds att sätta sin fot på Cypern. Den 17 april 1957 mottogs Makarios i Aten som en hjälte. Att ärkebiskopen släpptes fri utlöste vrede i Turkiet som fruktade ett brittiskt tillbakadragande. Kolonialminister Lennox Boyd hade besökt Ankara för att låta förstå att det fanns ett sätt att skydda turkcyprioterna när britterna drog sig tillbaka.
And when that happened, the Turks in Cyprus would be as entitled as the Greeks in Cyprus to have their own self-determination, and that of course involves the partition of the island.
I remember maps drawn in blood with the Turkish flag on top of it. Partition became the cause célèbre, as they say at the time. Partition or death became the slogan.
Makarios vägrade att ens infinna sig till samtal där Turkiet var representerat. Macmillan skrev i sin dagbok: detta är sannoliken ett av de mest svårlösta problem jag kan erinra mig. Den lösning han kom på var en ny guvernör, inte en militär utan en försonare och medlare, Sir Hugh Foot, Michael Foots bror och välkänd grekvän.
On taking up his appointment as governor 4 weeks ago, Sir Hugh was asked to make his report on the troubled island. Since then, at great personal risk, he has toured Greek and Turkish villages, seeking the views of the people themselves.
I said at the time I was rather pleased with myself. Things had gone rather well. I got a good deal of publicity from these acts. No great substance perhaps in them, but they were indications of an anxiety to work with the people. And then the terrible consequence.
Foots sympatigester mot grekerna tjänade bara till att övertyga turkcyprioterna om att deras beskyddare hade övergivit dem. Kvällen den 7 juni 1958 tog den fredliga samexistensen mellan de båda befolkningsgrupperna slut för alltid.
There was an explosion at the information bureau of the Turkish consulate. A crowd had already gathered there, a crowd of Turkish Cypriot youth. And they all almost immediately decided that Greeks had done it. And they were swearing vengeance against the Greeks and so on.
Explosionen inledde en natt av kravaller i Nicosia. Turkcyprioter brände och plundrade grekiska affärer och bostäder. Snart gick Ioka till motattack och striderna spred sig runt ön. Brittiska soldater reste barrikader för att hålla de båda befolkningsgrupperna isär. Delningen höll snabbt på att bli ett faktum när vanliga människor dödades bara för att de var greker eller turkar. Striderna rasade i 3 månader. Över 100 människor dödades. Mot den bakgrunden prövade Macmillan och Foot en ny väg.
The task which the British government has set itself is to see whether we could bring about at least some temporary period of calm and peace in the island. That means a great effort by all concerned.
Macmillan erbjöd sig att dela makten över Cypern med Grekland och Turkiet. Utåt sett ett generöst och rättvist erbjudande. Men för grekerna var det en mardröm att tänka sig turkiskt inflytande på en ö som de själva hävdade var en del av Grekland.
The Greek people of Cyprus will oppose by all means the unilateral application of this plan. If the British government insists on its plan, the result will be disastrous.
Macmillan varnade grekerna för att planen skulle tvingas på dem inom 2 månader om de inte kompromissade.
This time it wasn't a question of going to beg them in Athens and Greece. The idea was now we should go and tell them that we're going ahead with this. And you've got to accommodate yourself to it. I think that made a main difference.
I desperation vände sig Makarios till det brittiska Labourpartiet som hade lovat att tillmötesgå kravet på Enosis när de kom till makten. Han bjöd in Barbara Castle till Aten, men hon kom med dåliga nyheter. Också Labour tänkte stödja Macmillans plan om inte Makarios kompromissade.
Oh, he's prepared to make a very important change indeed. He has offered to accept the status of independence for Cyprus on condition that Cyprus shall not be linked either with Turkey or with Greece. In other words, he says, rule out partition and rule out union with Greece and let Cyprus be an independent state whose new position shall be guaranteed by the United Nations. Now, this is a very hopeful new development and offers a way out of the present deadlock.
We were terribly astonished when, out of the blue one day, Barbara Castle, who was a noblewoman, came out and said, Makarios has proposed me independence. We remained completely astonished.
Också Grivas var förvånad. Han hade inte blivit tillfrågad och 2 dagar efter ärkebiskopens eftergift utfärdade han sin order. Eoka skulle slå till efter eget gottfinnande mot militär såväl som civila.
It was here in Famagusta that the most brutal outrage of all outrages in Cyprus took place. 2 British women deliberately shot in the back. Mrs. Cutliff died at once, and Mrs. Robinson was gravely wounded. Both were wives of servicemen. An intensive search for the murderers began at once. It would be surprising indeed if the troops, naturally enraged by this cold-blooded act of Eoka thugs, had carried out their search and made their arrests with kid-glove methods. All must surely have felt that this was the most poignant of the many tragedies of the tragic situation in Cyprus.
Världsopinionens reaktion blev så våldsam att Grivas fann för gott att förneka allt ansvar för dådet. Eoka återupptog ändå sina attacker mot brittiska soldater. Läget för britterna tycktes allt dystrare. I FN höll frågan på att glida dem ur händerna. Greklands utrikesminister Averov föreslog att Cypern skulle bli en oberoende stat, men Turkiets utrikesminister Zorlu stödde Macmillans plan.
No Cypriot nation, not even a Cypriot political entity. In fact, on Cyprus, there are 2 national communities.
Efter en hård debatt röstades det grekiska förslaget ner.
We went with some members of the delegation at the end of a corridor to smoke. And we were frantic, of course, desperate. Because there are also questions of internal policy. How do you go back in the country beaten in an international forum? Then I saw Zorlu coming towards me. I told my people there, he's coming here. I'm afraid I'll slap him in the face. I'm so nervous, I don't think I will be able to keep my nerves. So he came smiling and he told me, I came to congratulate you.
Till Averovs förvåning föreslog Zorlu en uppgörelse. Turkiet skulle gå med på självstyre för Cypern och man kunde enas om garantier till skydd för den turkiska minoriteten. Under de följande veckorna arbetade de ut detaljerna för sin plan. 2 månader senare i Zürich antog de båda ländernas premiärministrar förslaget.
Mr. Zorlu, as Turkish foreign minister, are you happy with the agreement you have reached with Greece?
I am completely happy.
Why has it taken so long and cost so many lives before this agreement was reached?
This is a difficult question because the matter was a very complicated one, and the national pride and too much emotion was involved in this dispute.
Averov och Zorlu flög direkt till London där den brittiske utrikesministern Selwyn Lloyd var mycket nöjd med att Storbritannien nu kunde dra sig tillbaka från Cypern och ändå behålla 2 militärbaser på ön. De turk- och grekcypriotiska ledarna inbjöds till Lancaster House för att ratificera förslagen. Mötet var inte tänkt att bli annat än ett högtidligt undertecknande. Detaljerna man enats om i Zürich kunde inte ändras och Makarios hade lovat Greklands premiärminister Karamanlis att godkänna överenskommelsen.
Outside Lancaster House, even the fog was lifting as Foreign Secretary Selwyn Lloyd arrived for the conference on Cyprus. To the governor of the island, Sir Hugh Foote, it was a near miracle that the hope of peace had dawned at last. Indeed, the presence in London of the much-discussed Archbishop Makarios, now indisputable fact, would have seemed quite out of the question only a week or 2 ago, yet here he was.
Mötet inleddes med att varje delegat spelade den roll som förväntades av honom. Selwyn Lloyd läste upp punkterna i Zürich-överenskommelsen. Averov beskrev dem som bästa tänkbara och Zorlu instämde. Sen blev det Makarios tur att tala. Han förklarade sig nöjd med överenskommelsen i stora drag. Han ville bara göra ett par små ändringar. Mötet slogs med häpnad. Averov ringde upp Karamanlis i Aten. Denne flög till London och kallade omedelbart till sig Makarios. Makarios förklarade att visst hade han lovat skriva på, men tyvärr, nu hade han ändrat sig.
Then Karamanlis told him very calmly but in a very strong voice that I want you to know one thing. My policy on Cyprus is fixed. We have monographed these agreements in Zurich. It's finished, that's the agreement. That's my policy. If you don't agree, I will not change my policy. It's fixed. And he left.
Makarios fick ännu en natt på sig att gå med på överenskommelsen. Krig eller fred på Cypern. Det hängde nu enbart på hans beslut. Om han beslöt att fortsätta kampen nu, hur många cyprioter skulle då följa honom?
And that was the most critical evening for the Archbishop. I remember I went to his room and I stayed with him until midnight. And I remember Archbishop was smoking. He was a heavy smoker, smoking and thinking. I told him good night and have a good sleep. And he told me, I wonder if I can sleep this evening. So next morning I went first and knocked his door, and he said, I have already given my answer. I have contacted the Greek representatives and I told them that I will sign. That was the story.
This day, a new chapter opens up for the people of Cyprus, a period of peace and prosperity and freedom. The two communities in the island, working closely together within God's guidance, will, I have no doubt, be able to develop the welfare of the island to their common benefit.
The Cypriots' armed struggle was entirely successful in the military sphere, as history will pronounce one day. However, its accomplishments were not duly exploited by the political leadership.
Krivas vågade sig inte på en konfrontation med Makarios. Motvilligt beordrade han sina män att lägga ner vapnen och själv återvände han till Grekland. Men han skulle komma tillbaka än en gång och ställa till obehag för Makarios. Ärkebiskopen flyttade nu in i guvernörspalatset som republiken Cyperns president.
After the end of the war, oh yeah, I came here just to take my belongings, you know. Before I telephoned to the ADC and I asked him to give me my salary. He said, "Are you crazy?" he said. And I told him that if he denied to give my salary, I blow him up. He said, "Come